Hello and welcome back to the Bourbon Bar. I'm Holden, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a budget bourbon blind live. So, that being said, if you guys are in the chat, definitely pop in, say hello. I see Paul M, who was a little early, but hello, Paul. Thanks for stopping in and checking out the stream. So today's live stream is going to consist of me tasting blindly Wild Turkey 101, Old Forester 100 proof, Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, and Elijah Craig small batch. All of these whiskeys are in the budget category. They're all around that $25, $30 mark. Basically, the kind of whiskey that you would drink every day, the kind of whiskey that you would use maybe in cocktails or ingredients in recipes. That being said, I don't have all the correct glassware because some of them have writing on it, like the Bourbon Junkies or Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. So what I did is I put them all in these sample jars and labeled them on the bottom A, B, C, D, and E. And I'm gonna basically take these sample bottles, shake them up in a bag situation, and then pour them into the glasses without looking. And then at the end, I will look at the bottom of the sample bottle, and that will tell me what the whiskey I was drinking was. So, that being said, I'm gonna let some people trickle in. If you guys are in the chat, definitely pop in and say hello. I'm gonna mix up these sample bottles. I'm just gonna kind of put them in this blanket and move them around. That way they don't break, but kind of just mix them up real good. Okay. So now, without looking at the bottom of the bottles, all right. Sample bottles are all mixed up. It's definitely one way to mix up your samples if you don't have anyone here. Normally, I could have my girlfriend pour it, but she's at school, so I'm stuck pouring them all by myself, which is, it's okay. I got you guys. You guys are going to be talking to me. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get these poured into the glasses here. And I'm not going to look at the bottom of the bottles because that has the answers to which each one of these are. So I'm just going to pour it in here and set the bottles behind them. When it gets to the point where I need to figure out what it is, I'll look at the bottom of the bottle. I don't know what I expect to win tonight, honestly. These aren't all super similar palettes, but they are, I mean, two of them are Brown-Forman products. So, but they're not the most similar Brown-Forman products in the world. They're just kind of, Woodford and Old Forester. They're kind of similar, but a little bit different. I think Woodford has a little bit more, some of those more savory notes in there, whereas Old Forester, I think, is definitely sweeter. Also, the Woodford is only 80 proof or 90 proof, so whereas the Old Forester 100 is 100 proof. So there's that. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and start smelling these whiskeys. Starting with number one right here. If you guys are drinking anything, let me know in the comments and chat. Let me know what you're drinking. We're gonna go ahead and get number one. I'm just gonna call them 1 through 5 in order here. Or yeah, we're gonna go with 1 through 5. It's gonna be the easiest. So we're gonna start with number one on the nose. All right, and right away I'm getting some fruitiness, just slight fruitiness. Maybe a little bit more. Maybe some cherry, vanilla. I want to say some kind of brown sugary note in there. Number one seems to be one that I enjoy, and honestly, I do enjoy most of these bottles. As you guys can see, the Wild Turkey 101, Old Forester, and the Elijah Craig are very low in the bottle. So, and probably because I drink it a lot or pretty often anyway. The Woodford I just opened recently, so that's the only reason why it's still so high. And the Buffalo Trace, well, you know, you don't you don't drink what you can't find. So, if I could find it more often, maybe I would drink it more. I do kind of find Buffalo Trace to be on the sweeter end of things, and sometimes I prefer something a little hotter and a little more kick, a little more spiciness to it, which is interesting because when I started off, I definitely liked the sweet. So, um, yeah, number one is definitely smelling some cherry, maybe some caramel in there. It's gonna be hard to tell. I think the number one whiskey that I'm gonna be able to pick out the most is gonna be Buffalo Trace. It's a very obvious palette to me. Lauren Whiting says nice shirt. Well, that's because she made it, so thank you very much. Um, it is a nice shirt. If you guys don't know, Lauren is my girlfriend, and she made this for me when I started the channel, which is awesome. And I basically wear it in all of my videos recently. Um, you know, stuff like that. Growing, needing shirts. So pretty good on the nose. It seems like it's got a decent amount going on for these budget whiskeys. You don't always expect there to be a lot going on. So I'm glad to see that there's actually something happening on the nose. Hmm. The palate brings more sweetness to it. I want to say there was a banana note, which is kind of leaning me toward the Old Forester palette, but I'm not entirely sure on that one. Now that I'm smelling it again after taking a sip of it, I'm kind of getting more on the sweet side, but it definitely smells hot, which is kind of what's making me think it's the Old Forester and not the Brown Forman, or not the Woodford Reserve, because the Woodford Reserve I think drinks a little nicer or a little smoother than the Old Forester 100 does. In my experience, the Old Forester 100 has been, while still crushable, still has a little bit of bite to it, being at 100 proof. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's what this one was, although I am getting a surprising amount of spice, or what I'm considering spice, uh, on the nose compared to what I remember. So, yep, definitely some sweetness, like banana, like banana candies, banana runts. There's a little bit of caramel in there. Not too much oak, but I mean a little bit of oak. It's not lacking at all, but it's not like aggressive oak punch you in the face. Um, so far, very good. That is one that I would see myself drinking more often. So I'm gonna go ahead and get on glass two on the nose. We'll see how this one is. Okay, now this is switching it up a little bit. This one is a little bit more on that savory side that I was talking about earlier. It's kind of got like a brown sugar. I want to say like a baked bread note that I'm getting. Is definitely more oak prevalent in this one compared to the number one. I want to say there's a little bit of smoke in it, which is weird. I know that I used to get a slight twinge of smoke in Woodford Reserve, but I mean, it's nothing overly noticeable. It's like maybe someone um had a bonfire way off in the distance and I just got a whiff of it. That's really all it is on this smoky spectrum. But we're gonna go ahead and see this one on the palate. Hmm. Okay, now that one's interesting because that one is sweeter on the palate than you would originally believe. There's a little bit of a little bit of that brown sugar, um, maybe a little bit of that caramel in there. Nothing super overly fruity, but it's still I would still consider it sweet. Not quite on the sweetness level of Buffalo Trace, but um, definitely definitely up there. I'm thinking honestly between these two. I think this might be both of the Brown Forman products, number one and number two, but I don't know for sure. So interesting. Yeah, there's definitely like a almost like a baked pastry note on this one. There's not I don't want to say that there's any of that spice in there, any of the cloves or anything like that. It's more like a sweet and savory, like I said, maybe fresh donuts, not glazed or anything, just a fresh like donut or maybe just like a muffin or something like that. Fresh pastries though, but warmed still, like a warm bread right out of the oven. Overall, it's nice. I like it a lot. If you guys are in the chat, definitely let me know what you're drinking. If you're drinking along with me, and we're gonna go ahead and get glass number 3 on the nose right away. Okay, now that is something that's jumping off base a little bit. That's a little bit different. I want to say there's a little bit of man, like a fruit compote going on in here. A little bit more oak in it. It's kind of got almost like if you had cherry pie, fresh cherry pie. That's kind of what it's smelling like here. Or maybe oh, I just thought of bubble gum, but I can't tell. I'm only thinking bubble gum because I'm thinking of the Old Forester. Uh, but it definitely doesn't seem to be as spicy as it could be if it was Wild Turkey 101. So I'm guessing if I was gonna put a number on it, I would say maybe an Old Forester. I definitely don't think it would be the Woodford Reserve or the Wild Turkey 101 because there's not enough spice on there. Hanging AZ is in the house. What's going on, Hanging AZ? How's it hanging? You drinking anything yet, or is it too early? I know you said you don't normally drink before 6 o'clock by you. I think you said. Um, it's past 6 here, but right now I'm. In case you missed it, I am doing a budget bourbon blind. Um, I got those 5 in the back right there. The Wild Turkey 101, Old Forester 100, Buffalo Trace, Woodford Reserve, and Elijah Craig small batch. So that is what I'm drinking right now. And currently I am on glass 3. So I am just running through it. Glasses 1 and 2 kind of remind me of that Brown Forman note. They're both very sweet, easy to drink. I think glass A or glass number 1 had maybe a banana note going on, while glass 2 kind of had, I wanted to say like a smoky presence, but it tasted like a freshly baked pastry, like maybe like a fresh donut or warm bread out of the oven. Um, you always get bananas from Old Forester. Yeah, me too. It's kind of one of those things that I think they're known for that. I get a lot of bananas in the Brothers Bond, and they actually based their palette off of Old Forester products or Brown Foreman products. So it could be the Old Forester, it could be the Woodford Reserve. If I was guessing, I would call Woodford number two, but we still got two more glasses at the end here, and this glass in my hand, which I haven't drank yet. But on the nose, it's definitely some fruit compote. Like when you take like a warm tart fruit, like citrusy, like not citrus, not like lemons or anything like that, but like cherry pie is a really the best way to describe it. Honestly, just cherry pie is kind of that warm fruitiness in there, along with a little bit of that caramel that I kind of get on everything because everything has a little bit of caramel in it from the wood. But I'm gonna go ahead and get it on the palate. Okay, that one seems a little bit thin, but it is really sweet on the palate. Like really fruity and nice. Um, there's not a lot going on up front. It almost tastes a little bit watery up front, but it's honestly not bad whiskey at all. It's definitely crushable, super easy to drink. Um, I don't know. I don't have a guess for that one yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on to glass number four and see how this one compares to the rest of them. If I were to put them in order right now, I think I'm going with one, three, two, but it's still early. I got to go back the other way yet, and we have two more whiskeys to decide from. So, okay, glass four has a little bit more of an oaky presence to it. A little bit more of like a, I want to call it, I want to call it like oak spice. It's like a sweet cinnamon, candied oak maybe would be a good way to phrase it. Definitely either higher proof or a bit spicier than the other ones. It could very well be the Turkey 101. I do think I'm getting a hint of cherry back there. So it's a little bit of cherry, which makes it almost guaranteed to be that Wild Turkey 101. Seth, thanks for joining. Desi wants to know what crushable means. Well, Desi, crushable means that you can drink it without making a face. It tastes like water almost on the way down, and it's basically what some people would call smooth, but we don't like saying the word smooth in the bourbon community. It kind of makes things seem too easy to drink, too simple and not complex. We kind of prefer there to be a lot more going on and a lot more flavors to pick apart, I guess you could say. So crushable would be just easy to drink, really like you're not gonna make a face when you drink it. It's not cask strength. It's just kind of nice and fun, maybe refreshing. Something you would drink on a warm summer day, uh, instead of in the middle of winter. So I'm gonna go ahead and get number four on the palate and see what's going on with the palate of this one. So there's a little bit more of that spice in there. I want to say like cloves, still some red fruit, more cherry on the palate. Um, there's some vanilla in there. Oak kind of makes not really sapping my mouth of moisture, but it is a little bit drying. More proof, if I was guessing. It's it's leaning toward the wild turkey for a guess for me, but it's a palette that I'm enjoying. Hanging AZ says it is 91 in Arizona today. Crushable sounds good. Well, I would agree. I wish it was 91 here because 91 degrees means I could have went golfing today, which would have been great. And the Masters are on this weekend, so I'll kind of have golf on the brain. But 91 degrees in Arizona probably feels a little bit different than 91 degrees in Wisconsin. Uh, I know people call it a dry heat or whatever, or I think that's dry in Arizona, but Wisconsin's definitely 91 is like miserable. I mean, it's probably miserable for you too because 91 degrees is just hot in general. But at least you can go outside, go for a walk, grill out, go golfing if you want to. I don't know if you're into that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, it's kind of nice to have a crushable whiskey when it's summer, or that, or something you can put over ice, something that'll hold up over ice. Which this one would hold up a lot better over ice than the other one would. This one seems to have a little bit more oomph to it. So okay, that one that one might be the new number two for me. But we're gonna go ahead and get glass five on the nose here. Seth, if you're still in here, are you drinking anything tonight? Let me know what you're drinking. Um, Unless it's Bush Light, then just dump it down the drain. Or you can pour a glass of whiskey with me, even if it's something simple. Pour some of Nate's pecan praline, I think is what he has. Pour some of that in glass and drink some of that neat. Hanging Easy says he hikes and rides bike rides. 91 is only the high, 60s in the morning. That sounds better. 60 degrees, that's honestly all I need. If it was 60 degrees year round, I could live with that. Hiking sounds nice. Do you ride pedal bikes or motorcycles? Because I happen to really love riding motorcycles. So, uh, so that's awesome. You know, sounds like you're getting your exercise in, burning off all the calories from all this whiskey. Seth is drinking Bush Light. Well, seems to be a common theme here in Wisconsin. Everyone loves their Bush Light and their light beers, but hey, not all of them can be whiskey drinkers. Am I right? Single speed mountain biking. Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. I think mountain biking would be awesome. Uh, it also looks incredibly dangerous from all the videos that I've seen on Facebook and all that kind of stuff. What have you ever crashed? Like, do you ever like just eat shit and not be able to bike ride for a long time, or are you not that extreme? Number five, in the row seems to have a little bit more of an oak presence to it, a little bit more oak spiciness to it. And now that I've made it through all five of these whiskeys, I'm kind of questioning myself on which one I said, how well that I didn't say Buffalo Trace was, because it doesn't smell like this one, but I could be mistaken. This one definitely smells a little bit more oaky, a little bit nutty, I want to say, kind of like peanut dust and a little bit of caramel in there as well. This one's kind of leaning toward the Heaven Hill profile for me. Still some fruit in there, some nice, I want to say like blackberries or um, kind of like a mixed berry mash, like blackberry, raspberry, um, cherry. I think it's just all muddled together. So overall, I think this one kind of falls most in line with my palate. Although on second thought, oh man, this is tough. This is tough. Hmm. Okay, so this one drinks a little bit warmer than the other ones. For a split second there, I thought maybe on the nose that it could have been Buffalo Trace, but it's kind of throwing me for a loop here because I thought I smelled some peanut dust on there, and on the last smell before I drank it, uh, I did smell a bit of vanilla. I know vanilla can be in Elijah Craig too, which is kind of where I was going with it. But the palate, it definitely has a little bit more of that oakness, one of the warmer ones that I've drank, probably the warmest or second warmest on the way down. Um, Kind of giving me a little bit of a Kentucky hug. So the proof is either there or it just is drinking a little bit hot. Um, I can taste it on the tongue. It tastes like it's not sapping the moisture out of my mouth, but it kind of has a little bit more viscosity to it than the other ones. And a little bit of caramel in there as well. Hagen AZ says he has been over the bars a few times, but mostly on canals and hills these days. Well, I've been over the bars of my own pedal bike because I rode it into a car that was parked. But I can imagine it's not just as painful as going over the bars when you're on a mountain. I mean, it sounds like it would hurt a lot. The blackberry is Elijah Craig. Yes, I would have to agree with you. I do get blackberry and Elijah Craig. I'm just kind of curious because on the second half of my nosing notes, I kind of did get a little bit of vanilla wafer, which I kind of is a note that I'm finding on Buffalo Trace usually. But I'm gonna have a sip of water before we go back the other way. If you guys are liking the video, definitely don't forget to hit the like button. Also, if you're not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Um, Elijah Craig is 94 proof. Yes, it is, I believe. Yes, Elijah Craig is 94 proof, unless, of course, it's a ECBP, which they can get pretty hot. But if I remember correctly, Elijah Craig usually has some more notable presence to it. It's not as crushable as the other ones, which is kind of why I always liked it as one of my go-tos and my favorites for budget. Um, you know, I do like crushable whiskey, but I prefer there to be honestly a little bit of a punch to it on the way down. I kind of like that Kentucky hug that I usually get in there. But we're gonna go ahead and go back the other way, 5-1, and try to narrow down and make a decision for which one of these I like the best. So, glass number 5. Previously, I got the oak and caramel and a little bit of fruit, mixed berries, I want to say. Um, Peanut dust is what I thought. I'm gonna really search for that between that peanut dust or that vanilla note and try to determine if this is Buffalo Trace or Elijah Craig because it's got to be one of the two if I was guessing. Definitely smells a bit warmer than Buffalo Trace would be. I think I am getting just a tiny bit of peanut note on there. Um, you know, it's a good nose. I don't know if it's the most outstanding nose compared to these other whiskeys, but that's something we can tell on the way back when we're really comparing them. So we're gonna get on the palate here. Hanganese says he thought the Elijah Craig was decent, but nothing that got him to buy a second bottle. Yeah, I kind of might be a little bit biased to Elijah Craig because the bar that I go to drink all my whiskey and bourbon and stuff, it's actually called the Bourbon Room. They make their old fashions out of Elijah Craig, and so and I love their old fashions, and I love Elijah Craig and old fashions. And I also it was one of the first ones that I really tasted. I mean, that I really sat down and actually had a pour of in a Glencairn and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of just like one of those budget bottles that I might kind of have nostalgia toward. Overall, I mean, I like Elijah Craig, but it's nothing spectacular unless you're getting an ECBP, which I actually picked up an ECBP the other day, store pick. So that one was really good. That one has a lot of honey on it, honey nut Cheerios. But I'll be doing a review on that one. The bottle you have bought the most of is Wild Turkey 101. I actually would agree with you. I think Wild Turkey 101 and the Elijah Craig are tied because I had a couple bottles of each. It's hard when you're collecting so much that you kind of just like get a new whiskey, start drinking that, then a week later you get another new whiskey, you start drinking that, and you kind of stop drinking your mainstays so they don't go down very fast. But I would say between Elijah Craig and Wild Turkey 101 are probably the two most drank bottles on my shelf. I'd say the Old Forester I drink a lot too, but it's kind of like the Swiss Army knife in the utility belt. Like it's got a screw top, so I feel comfortable bringing it in luggage or something that nothing's gonna the caps or the cork's not gonna fly off and get whiskey all over my stuff. And I kind of use it to cook too because it has a nice sweet profile when you're making like a bourbon glaze or like a bourbon dessert. So uh, Hanging AZ says he kind of felt the same way about 1792. Good whiskey, but didn't wow him. I heard a lot of good things about the 1792 small batch. I haven't actually had it. I have the full proof up there. I have I've had the sweet wheat and I think the 12-year, which all very good whiskeys. Definitely like kind of hits that palate for me where I like the way they taste. But I've never been able to pull the trigger on just a 1792 small batch. I think if I was gonna I think because I once bought the Costco Kirkland um, small batch whiskey, and it's the people distillers from 1792 or Barton. It's from Barton Distilling. Um, so I kind of like disregarded 1792. I thought it would be a little bit too nutty, banana-y for me. But now that I think about it, it kind of falls on my palate. So I might get one sometime in the near future. But you know, maybe I'm missing out. Maybe it's something that I would really enjoy, but it's kind of hard with these budget whiskeys to really find one that blows your socks off, or at least find one that blows your socks off as much as Wild Turkey 101 because it's just a hitter. So definitely some fruit, caramel. I want to say that it's a blackberry. I really do. I'm definitely thinking that one's Elijah Craig, but we'll work our way back this way. Try to break it down, clarify these things for you guys. Okay, so number 4 is definitely seeming a lot sweeter on the nose. Definitely kind of I want to say pastry sweetness, kind of like number 2. All these whiskeys are really sweet. I think that's kind of a thing with budget whiskeys and really just lower proof whiskeys is they don't have a lot of that deep tobacco rich like kind of notes to them. They kind of just the water and the lower proof kind of brings it down. And it's it makes them taste maybe a little bit sweeter, maybe a little bit easier to drink, a little bit more forgiving. Old Forester 10 OF 100, Wild Turkey 101, Makers 101, Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, and OGD Bottled and Bond are regular sippers. I really like that 100 proof area. I agree. One bottle that I really, really want to buy is OGD 114. I'm not sure how the Bottle and Bond compares to the 114. I think they were talking about that last night on someone's channel, but otherwise, I haven't had the Evan Williams bib and I haven't had the Makers 101, but I have had Makers 46, and Makers Cask, and the Makers Cask is really good. So I could see the Makers 101 being just as good. Those all really sound like hitters. So Seth Binding is asking, his mom is asking, what is a good starter bourbon? She tried to start with Bullet, but didn't like it. So Bullet kind of, I don't want to say it's hot, but it's hotter than something super sweet. Honestly, maybe a little bit biased, but the Brothers Bond from the Vampire Diaries guys, super crushable, easy to drink. super sweet, not aggressive at all. Uh, Buffalo Trace is kind of on that same wavelength, just really sweet and crushable. I would say Old Forester 100, also very crushable, very kind of stick around that 80 proof range or in the lower proofs. Definitely try not to go anywhere closer to 100. 100 is maybe where you're going to get to something harsh that she might turn her nose up at. Um, Otherwise, maybe yeah, that's probably um my advice for her is stay on the lower proof, maybe Buffalo Trace or Elijah Craig or I don't know, one of those things. I definitely think that the Brothers Bond is. I mean, the Brothers Bond is 80 proof, and they specifically designed it for people who haven't drank whiskey before. So that's definitely one that is a go-to for beginners. It's super sweet, tastes like bananas, banana nut muffins, and that kind of stuff. So Woodford also a good beginner bourbon. I Woodford is one of the ones that I've always thought as a beginner bourbon. Um, it's kind of got a lot going on, so you can really pick it apart. But it's not too aggressive. It might be a little bit hotter than the super sweet ones, but regardless, I like the 114, but it is different. You should buy both. Well, I've been on a whiskey spending spree, so I don't know if I can buy both, but I'll probably pick up the 114. Maybe I'll pick up the bib too. I don't know. I actually scored a Blanton's yesterday, which is awesome, and I got the Bardstown Disco the other day. So and I got the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof the other day. So that's a good $250 worth of whiskey that I just pulled out of nowhere last week. So kind of on a saving spree for a little bit. Um, Woodford is very sweet as well. Yeah. So Woodford is kind of the same um, kind of the same palette as all Brown Forman products, which if you don't know is Woodford Reserve, Old Forester. Um, there's a couple other ones on there. I think Brown Forman actually owns Jack Daniels now too, but they all kind of have similar profiles. Definitely really easy to drink whiskeys, very sweet. A lot of people love them. Um, I mean, they're a crowd favorite. The Brothers Bond was the palette when they designed it was supposed to taste like a Brown Forman product, so hence why it's an easy one to drink. Um, Hanging AZ says you can get the bottled and bond for 16 and the 114 for 25. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know if I really see the bottled and bond around Wisconsin that much, but there's definitely OGD 114 everywhere. So maybe I just gotta stop slack and then pick up a couple bottles of it. So number 4 seems to have gotten a little bit more proof behind it that I'm noticing. A little less sweet than I originally thought. A little bit more clove, um, spiciness. A little bit of fruit in there. Man, this is gonna be really tough to try to narrow these down to just one winner. And then you got number 3, which is obnoxiously sweet compared to the number 4. Not in a bad way at all. Definitely lots of vanilla, lots of caramel. Not, oh man, kind of like a vanilla raspberry, maybe a vanilla strawberry. Might be buffalo. Man, I'm gonna find Buffalo Trace if it's the last thing I do. Maybe. Who knows, honestly. So the last blind that I did was the rye blind, and I think Sazerac came in like second for me, which is a Buffalo Trace product. which is very sweet. And I usually I usually like things that are a little less sweet, but okay, number one definitely smells more on the lines of like a cinnamon spice, like cinnamon, like a cinnamon graham cracker, maybe cinnamon like Teddy Grahams, maybe. Hmm. Hey, Z says I can only find the bottled and bond at one store. Harder to find here. Yeah, um, I agree. I don't see the bottled and bond as much as I see the 114. Probably because there's so much hype around the 114, and it's just really good. From what I've heard. So one of these days, I'm gonna have to just suck it up and buy a bottle. Beach Trace, yes, I agree. Beach Trace is kind of flying under the radar, I think, in this blind, but we're gonna narrow these down here pretty quick. Number two seems to be that I can't get past. There's like a bready note to it, like a fresh pastry. It really does taste like a fresh. Well, it smells like a fresh pastry. Strawberry. Yeah, so I get strawberry a lot. Strawberry jam whenever I drink Buffalo Trace. Kind of just is something that I've always when I did my review of Buffalo Trace, I always said that I got strawberry jam on a vanilla Oreo cookie, but like without the filling in the middle. It was just the wafer cookie part with strawberry jam in it, which I liked. But it's kind of and there's some caramel in it too, and a little bit of oak. But even just on the palate, on the viscosity, Buffalo Trace usually stands out just a little bit. Um, so I'm surprised that I actually can't pick it out here. These whiskeys are blending pretty well together. They seem to all have pretty similar palates, but none of them are the same, which is making it extremely difficult for me. Uh, I'm going to be very surprised at at the winner of this. I really think that I'm probably gonna choose Wild Turkey 101 near in the top three, along with Elijah Craig and Old Forester. I really like all these whiskeys. You can't go wrong with any of them. Um, Number two, fresh baked pastries, little bit of fruit, maybe like a banana. It could be a banana bread. So some caramel in it. Oh man, this could be hard. This could be Woodford. It's just very difficult. Not a lot going on, I want to say, on the palate, or at least on the finish. Very calm, crushable. I might have said that last time. Yes, I did pick Wild Turkey 101 Rye in the Rye Shootout as number one. So I'd be surprised if Buffalo Trace could beat out Wild Turkey 101 on this bourbon shootout, but you never know. I never considered myself to be a Buffalo Trace fanboy, and I don't think I ever want to be considered a Buffalo Trace fanboy. But there is a certain something to finding BTAC bottles in the wild. I mean, I really wasn't searching high and low for that Blanton's. I wasn't. I just kind of mentioned it into one of the guys I go to, one of the shops or one of the liquor stores that I go to frequently, and he mentioned that he had some in the back, along with an E.H. Taylor. Um, Unfortunately, he only offered me the one. I would have gladly bought them both, but he just offered me the Blantons, which I'm more than happy to take off his hands at retail, no less. So it was a good day for me. I'm not gonna crack it open yet. Saving it for I don't know, something exciting maybe. It's not like I'm super excited to drink that one. I was super excited to drink the Bardstown Disco 6. That was fantastic, phenomenal. I love that whiskey. Um, I'm unfortunately probably gonna drink it pretty fast because it's fantastic whiskey. All right, so we're gonna go back to number one, and then I think we're gonna try to narrow it down, kick out the bottom two places to start, and then we're gonna find out a final ranking for all of these. So number one seems to have some vanilla, cherries, a little bit of spiciness, a little bit of oak, the palate, mediocre on the viscosity, definitely a little bit more oak on the front end, a little bit of cherry on the back end, a little bit of fruit on the back end. That's good. I like number one a lot. Um, Hainazy says, I have only found Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare. I do not have a bottle of Weller SP. I do have a bottle of Weller SP coming in the mail that he won. Well, that's awesome. SR. Oh, okay. Um, Special Reserve. Yeah, so I was confused. SP. Yeah, so that's awesome. I'm good. That's good for you, man. I do have the one bottle of Eagle Rare that is actually a store pick that I got from a friend on Instagram, and I haven't found a Weller. My boss just got a Weller Full Proof, so maybe he'll let me crack into that this weekend when we're going on uh, our little adventure down to Illinois for work. So maybe he'll bring it along. Maybe I'll bring my Blantons. Maybe we can do a little bit of sharing. But yeah, I haven't had any Weller, so I haven't seen Weller ever either. Wisconsin, I don't think gets a lot of that. I know we do get our Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare shipments. They keep them in the back. Sometimes we get the Blantons and EH Taylors a lot less frequently. But mostly, I haven't seen a single Weller in the wild in Wisconsin ever. I haven't even heard of one in Wisconsin. Not even in the back of people's rooms. But all right, so we're gonna go ahead and get to ranking these. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by narrowing out the two least delicious ones, the ones I'd like the least. And honestly, it's hard because it's honestly a hard choice. Um, I think the one that I enjoyed the least, I remember this one having kind of a flat palate. So I think number 3 is going to be in last place. It just kind of seems to leave a little bit to be desired. I think very easy to drink, very sweet and crushable. I think if I was going to guess, I honestly would guess that might be the Woodford. I don't know. My guesses have been all over the place, so I can't even can't even think about which one is which. I found 2 Eagle Rare just finishing the first bottle. Yeah, I like Eagle Rare a lot actually. I'm interested to see how Woodford fares. Yeah, so Eagle Rare, great whiskey. It honestly might be considered budget if you could ever find it at retail for $32. Very good juice. but unfortunately would not make this blind. Um, I'm interested to see how the Woodford fares too. I always consider it to be one of those whiskeys that I really like. I've never put it against other whiskeys though, which is interesting to me. Um, Whatever number 4 is, I think seems to have it going on. Uh, number 4 is smelling better and better to me. I think the longer I let it sit out. Number 5. Haganese says he would pay 30, or he paid 32 a piece for Eagle Rare. That is all he would pay. I agree. I don't think I would ever buy one over that part or that price point. Maybe $40. I might go to 40. Not every time I see it. If it was $40 every time I saw it, I would not be buying it. Only if I didn't have a bottle and I wanted one, I would pay up to 40. I think for mine I paid up to about 40, but it is a store pick, single barrel, so there's going to be some upcharge on that. And then I had to get it flown here. I think he lives in Colorado, so I had to get it flown here from Colorado. So a little bit of a shipping cost to that. But if you get it on Reserve Bar, I think they had it up for $75 a bottle. Absolutely ridiculous. Number 5, I think, will become coming in 4th place. Seems to leave a little bit to be desired. The finish is good. The palate's okay. The nose kind of isn't a lot there. Seems a little thin to me, but interesting. 44 store pick is cool. Yeah, I agree. $40 for a store pick. That's good stuff. 85 a bottle. That's a highway robbery. That's a crime. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that whiskey's worth what you're willing to pay for it, and small store owners, they need to make a living too. I understand, but I mean, really, like $85. I could see upcharging it to like 40. I mean, like maybe get a couple extra bucks from it, but $85 for a bottle of Eagle Rare. That's insane. I don't know if I would pay $85 for a $30 bottle of whiskey. That's just a lot. There's a little bit of funkiness on glass 4. But I'm here for it. I think I like that. Glass 2 seems to be on the sweeter side of things. Haganese, I don't know if you've ever done this, but actually trying to pick out a favorite out of a blind is extremely difficult because you think you have a preference when you drink them one by one, but as soon as you put them all next to each other, it's really like I really like all of them, and it's really nitpicky just to try to find what the best out of all of those are. So it's almost that time where you would pour yourself a glass, hanging. What are you gonna be drinking tonight? Are you gonna watch the Bourbon Junkies stream at 8 o'clock for me, probably 7 o'clock for you? I know they go on tonight too, so I thought they were gonna go on last night, so I kind of alluded to the fact that they were gonna go on, and then they never did. And I was kind of confused, but I did see that they were going on tonight, so hopefully, maybe I'll see you there. Man, this is difficult. Hanging says Weller Special Reserve is a $35 bottle as well, and people mark them up. Yeah, I've seen them honestly going for $150. It's ridiculous. Um, I bet it is because some of the notes kind of transfer. Yeah, so normally when I put things side by side like this, they kind of really stand out against each other. Uh, but it's kind of interesting because a lot of these seem to have similar palates. I really thought the wild turkey and the buffalo trace would stand out a lot because the wild turkey is such like a cinnamon cherry bomb that it's usually recognizable, and the buffalo trace I usually have just a bloodhound for buffalo trace. So Hanging AZ might have some rare breed. He just watched the turds last night for a bit, and we'll check out the junkies. Yes, the shelf turds or whiskeychannel.com were on last night. I think I think Dara was on last night too. So I watched both of them, and then yeah, I think I'll jump in the junkies chat tonight for a bit. I know they usually go pretty late. For me personally, I go to bed early, so um, I don't always get the chance to watch the Junkies live stream. I usually end up watching the repeat though. And same with Matt Madness on Fridays. I really love watching Matt Madness on Fridays, but I'm usually busy. It's because it's a Friday night, so usually watch a repeat of it. All right, between these last three whiskeys, A above B, or I mean one above two. Mm, hmm. One above two, four above two. So now between 1 and 4 is going to be the determining factor on which one of these two wins the blind. Hanging AZ says I usually check out Whiskey Wars, Independent Joe, and Fun with Whiskey on Saturday night. Yeah, it's so hard for me to do the weekend ones because, like I said, I'm a busy person. I usually am out doing things. I would love nothing more than to spend every night watching Whiskey Tubers go live because honestly, it's one of the funnest things ever. Even just like talking in chat and honestly, Hanging, I'm so grateful to you for sitting in here and talking with me all night. I appreciate that a lot. Because honestly, if you weren't here, I would still have fun, but I would probably be talking to myself, just drinking whiskey and enjoying whiskey. But it is fun getting to hang out with you and catch up. Um, but yeah, I don't usually get to do a lot of weekend live streams with people. So, oh man, this is tough. I think 4 might be Woodford. I've had so many wrong guesses tonight. I'm gonna be amazed at whatever order this is. And 1 might be Wild Turkey. Yeah. Okay. All right. The final order for tonight is that number 1 came in first. Number 4 came in second. Number 2 came in third. Number 5 came in fourth. And number 3 came in fifth, aka last place. So I think it's time. No shame in Wild Turkey 101. Yeah, I agree. Wild Turkey 101, definitely fantastic. I'm going to cry, though, if I put number 3 last place. If this is Wild Turkey and it's last, I'm going to cry. It honestly, it's so hard to tell. But I think it's time to review the answers, starting with last place. Interesting. Last place is A, which is Woodford Reserve. I really thought that Woodford would have done a lot better in this blind. But I think compared to a lot of these other whiskeys, it doesn't really hold up, which might be why we don't really hear about it as much anymore. And I've definitely seen it in blinds, and I don't think I've ever seen it completely winning. Although Sean from Whiskey Wars did just do his big bracket, his budget bracket or whatever bracket that was. And I'm pretty sure Woodford is in the top 2. I can't remember if he put out the last video or not, but Woodford was up there. I normally like Wood. I mean, I like all these whiskeys. I really do. There's not a lot of them that I dislike, but this one apparently I didn't like as much as the rest. But now that I kind of know what it is, my recollection is taking over. I am getting a lot more of that banana savoriness, kind of like a brown sugary sweet. Yeah, okay, I can see how that's Woodford. So last place is Woodford. Second to last place. Second to last place is Wild Turkey 101. That's, I said this one might have been Wild Turkey 101, but I also said that one might have been Wild Turkey 101, and honestly, it was a toss-up. I can definitely tell that there's some more oak prevalence in this one, and it's a little bit spicier. I really didn't want to put it last because I thought it was good, but apparently I didn't think it was good as the rest of them. So, unfortunately, Wild Turkey 101 came in fourth place. It's pretty impressive, but it is what it is. Hanging Z said Woodford did well in his bracket. Yeah, so Whiskey Wars, Sean, he did a big bracket. Woodford way up there. Apparently for me, it's not. So, and apparently Wild Turkey 101 is lower on the list as well, which is very interesting. I kind of wonder if my glass was a little funky. But nonetheless, I can get a little bit cinnamon in there. Third place is C, which is Buffalo Trace, which I kind of had a feeling toward. Very sweet, some vanilla, caramel, a little bit of fruit. Second place, this is now between these two glasses. Second place on my whiskey blind is going to be D, which is Old Forester 100. Making the winner of oh frick. The winner of tonight's blind is E. Elijah Craig is the winner of tonight's blind. Elijah Craig small batch. Wow. I mean, I really shit. I really like Elijah Craig a lot. So I guess that makes sense that it would have won. Wow. Okay. I didn't see that coming. I think the biggest upset was Wild Turkey being under Buffalo Trace. Like I said, these are all very good bottles. Elijah Craig won. While I'm somewhat surprised, I'm not overly surprised because uh, it's one of those ones that, like I said, I drink a lot of. I like drinking it. It's very common in Wisconsin to have Elijah Craig on the shelf. So I know Hanging AZ is probably probably pissed that I just put Elijah Craig #1 and Wild Turkey #4. But honestly, I think Elijah Craig is a great pour. It just kind of hits the marks for me. Uh, I did say that #5 had a little bit of nuttiness in it. That would make sense because Wild Turkey 101 does have uh, a bit of nuttiness in it. I wasn't normally, because Elijah Craig has a little bit of nuttiness in it too. And I kind of was thinking that I kind of had him flip flopped. But hey, Elijah Craig is the winner. Old Forester 100, that was also a surprising one. That one came in second place. And while I drink it a lot, I usually thought I drank it out of convenience, but I guess I really like it. Um, like I said in the previous video, I think all whiskey kind of has its place. It depends on what you're in the mood for. Everyone has that time where they're like, oh, I kind of feel like something sweet. Grab the Buffalo Trace, or the Old Forester. I kind of feel like something hot and cinnamony. Grab the Wild Turkey 101. So it's like, depending on what you're craving that day can really affect the choices that you make when you're choosing a favorite. I think it's apparent that I like Elijah Craig Small Batch. I always have. It was the first review I had on my channel. So it was in the first cocktail that I made on my channel. I talk about it on my channel a lot. I love Heaven Hill products. I love the Elijah Craig barrel proof lineups. I've never really had a bad one. So that makes sense. Elijah Craig being the winner. Definitely some fruity compote in there, and definitely some oakiness in it. #2, the Old Forester 100. That was surprising, but I can see it. Kind of drinks a little bit hotter than other whiskeys. But I think that's that. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Closing statement. I'm baffled. I'm very surprised at the outcome of this blind. Last place being Woodford. I wasn't sure how Woodford was going to do, but it got last place. So there's that. The very big upset of Wild Turkey coming in 4th out of 5, which is not very high. I consider myself a lover of Wild Turkey or all turkey products in general, so that one kind of hurt my heart a little bit. 3rd place was the Buffalo Trace. I'm not a huge Buffalo Trace fanboy. The fact that it made it to 3rd place is somewhat surprising for me. 2nd place, Old Forester 100. 1st place, Elijah Craig Small Batch. I guess I love Elijah Craig Small Batch. I always have. I guess I always will. We'll see if it ever changes in the future. That being said, this is probably the end of the stream. Thanks for coming out and hanging out. Hanging AZ, thanks for being a bud, hopping in here. Everyone else that came in, cheers to you guys. Time to the end of the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, like I said, subscribe to the channel. Go check me out on Patreon. I got a Patreon that I'm going to be posting stuff on very soon. Check me out on Instagram at the Bourbon Bar _. And if you ever want to send me any whiskey, via email is the best way to do it. Hop in my email. It's in the description below. Send me an email. Let me know you want to send me something. I'll give you an address to send it to. All that kind of good stuff. So that being said, have a good night, everybody. Cheers. And I'll see you guys in the next class.